porn, alcohol, weed, coke, TikTok, sugar. This world is full of substances that you can use to numb yourself. But what if I told you that every time you reach for one of these, you're not just numbing your pain, you're numbing your potential? Most people think addiction is about hard drugs. But what if I told you that even the smallest habits, the ones you don't even think twice about, are silently draining your energy, dulling your emotions, and keeping you stuck in a loop of mediocrity? You don't even realize you're being sedated, because that's exactly how the system wants it. There's a reason why some of the most successful people in history avoided these vices like the plague. When you constantly flood your brain with dopamine, whether from porn, light drugs, social media, or junk food, you're creating an artificial high that throws your entire being off balance. Over time, the brain adjusts by lowering your baseline motivation and pleasure, leaving you stuck in a dull, lifeless middle ground where nothing truly excites you. You think you're relaxing, taking the edge off, or just passing time, but in actuality, you're disconnecting from reality, disconnecting from ambition, and disconnecting from life itself. The worst part? You don't even realize it's happening. You just wake up one day wondering why your drive is gone, why nothing feels fulfilling, why deep down you feel empty. We've talked about dopamine left and right on this channel, how addictions to high stimulus activities fry your reward system, making real life feel boring. But today, we're going deeper, because dopamine is just one part of the equation. The real damage happens beneath the surface at the emotional level. What happens when you artificially regulate your mood 24/7? How does numbing yourself with weed, TikTok, or endless scrolling affect your ability to feel deeply, to be present, to actually experience life? Because the truth is, if you never let yourself fully feel the lows, you'll never experience the true highs. On this channel, we talk a lot about semen retention. And for most people on this journey, quitting porn is a no-brainer. But what about the more subtle killers? Social media, weed, even mindless entertainment. They don't just lower your energy, they actively sabotage your emotional state. And here's the kicker. They put your entire semen retention streak at risk. If you're serious about leveling up, this is the video you need to see. And stay tuned, because we will cover one drug that people have continuously asked me about in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, and all the bells and whistles if you're into my content, and we will surely continue to deliver more videos like this one. People turn to substances because they think happiness is something they can manufacture. A drink to loosen up, a joint to relax, a scroll through social media to escape boredom. Each one feels like a small, harmless decision. But if these things truly made people happy, why are so many people still anxious, depressed, and unfulfilled? The reality is that these substances don't create happiness. They create dependency. Instead of dealing with life's natural ups and downs, people are numbing themselves, hoping to bypass discomfort. The biggest trap is the illusion of control. People think they're managing their emotions by choosing when to drink, smoke, or distract themselves, but in reality, they're handing control over to the substance. A note for the trolls: I know that TikTok, for example, is not a substance, but for the purposes of this video, we're gonna just clump all of these distractions together. The body and mind start relying on these crutches to feel anything at all. What begins as an occasional indulgence quickly turns into a necessity. Without it, they feel restless, irritable, or empty. And yet, because society normalizes these habits, few people stop to ask the deeper question: why do I feel the need to alter my state just to exist in the first place? Here's the paradox. The more you depend on substances to feel good, the less capable you become of actually feeling good on your own. Over time, the brain gets used to artificial stimulation, making natural joy feel dull in comparison. Things that once brought excitement, conversations, achievements, even just sitting in silence, start to feel boring. People think they're enhancing their life, but they're actually numbing it. The result? A population of people chasing happiness, but never truly finding it. The reason drugs feel so good at first is because they create an artificial shortcut to peace. That momentary stillness, the quieting of doubt, the flooding of euphoria. It's intoxicating, but it's also a lie. The high doesn't last, and when it fades, you don't return to where you started. You sink even lower. Every time you chase that feeling, the baseline of your normal state drops a little further, making the real world feel dull, unbearable, even painful. What once was a rare indulgence becomes a crutch, and before you know it, you're not using drugs just to get high, you're using them to feel normal. The problem isn't that drugs take you to paradise, it's that they make reality feel like hell. When you're sober, the action of the mind feels unbearable, so you reach something to quiet it again. But the truth is, the ability to still your mind and find peace already exists within you. Drugs offer a counterfeit version of something you could build naturally through discipline, meditation, and self-awareness. But most people never figure this out because they're too busy running from their own thoughts, too afraid to sit with themselves without a chemical escape. Imagine if instead of numbing yourself, you trained yourself to experience that peace in its raw, unfiltered form. Instead of silencing your mind with substances, you learn to master it. That is real power. That is real control. The path is harder, but it leads to something drugs never can, lasting fulfillment. The choice is simple. Do you want a millisecond of heaven followed by a lifetime of hell? Or do you want to build your own paradise, one that no substance can take away from you? Emotions are the compass of human experience. Without them, we wouldn't know what excites us, what drives us, or what truly matters. Life isn't designed to be a never-ending high. Happiness and sadness are meant to exist in balance. The lows make the highs meaningful, just as struggle makes success rewarding. If you were happy all the time, happiness would lose its meaning. If you never felt pain, you wouldn't recognize growth when it happened. The ups and downs aren't just obstacles to be avoided, they're the essence of being alive. Think about the people who have achieved something great. Whether it's in business, art, sports, or personal transformation, their stories always include struggle. They have felt endless frustration, endless doubt, and endless fear. But instead of running from these emotions, they used them as fuel. Every challenge, every hardship, every dark moment forced them to rise above and develop resilience. This is the natural process of growth. If you flatten the peaks and valleys with substances, you're not just numbing the pain, you're killing the drive that turns struggle into strength. Drugs and distractions promise to protect you from discomfort, but what they really do is strip you of the full experience of life. Instead of feeling the natural rise and fall of emotions, you're stuck in a muted, artificial middle ground where nothing excites you and nothing deeply affects you. Over time, this emotional numbness leaves you disconnected, not just from the pain, but from passion, purpose, and everything that makes life worth living. Now, no one starts using drugs thinking they'll become dependent. It always begins as a curiosity, something to try, something to experience. Maybe you just wanted to see what it felt like, to escape reality for a moment, to push boundaries. Then, before you knew it, that occasional experiment turned into something more. You told yourself, it's just social, something you do at parties, something that makes you feel loose, more confident, more yourself. But was that really you, or was it the drug talking? The problem is, no one ever stops to ask the most important question. Why do I need this? Why do I need a substance to feel okay? Why do I need a drink to relax? Why do I need to smoke just to enjoy life? The fact that people seek out these substances to cope, to enhance, or to numb themselves should be a huge red flag. But society has normalized it. Everyone's doing it, so it must be fine, right? But what happens when just for fun use turns into something you rely on? When you can't truly enjoy yourself without it? That's when the crutch becomes a chain that binds you to misery. And the worst part, you don't even notice it's happening. Slowly, subtly, you lose your natural ability to feel joy, to be present, and handle life without artificial aid. Your brain rewires itself to expect these substances, and without them, everything feels dull. What started as a choice turns into a necessity. And once you're at that point, you're no longer using the drug is using you. Now let's touch on marijuana, the silent killer of your best self. Marijuana will convince you that it's your best friend. It's the biggest enemy you ever had to your true potential. It's natural, man. It's natural, man, right? We've all heard that one. But here's the question. When does putting a foreign substance into your body, messing with your neurotransmission, and altering your state actually become natural? Whether it's plant-based or not, it still alters your brain chemistry in unnatural ways. Weed tricks you into thinking it's enhancing your life, but in reality, it makes you docile, weak, and stupid. I've been there. I smoked a lot of weed in my day, and when I did, I was literally unable to think clearly. You tell yourself you're functioning better when you're high, but what's really happening is that you're operating at a subpar level all the time, unaware of the gap between your potential and your actual performance. The worst part, weed gives you a false sense of confidence. one that masks your incompetence. The result is clear. You become an incompetent individual, slow, docile, dumb, and weak. And then you trick yourself into thinking you can't even function without it, when in actuality, you likely function like a fucking moron in comparison to the you that never touched it. On semen retention, marijuana is even more dangerous. It kills your energy levels. Sure, you may feel higher energy because SR brings that out of you, but you're never operating at your maximum potential. And on top of that, it increases your sex drive, making you more susceptible to relapse and putting your streak at risk. You may think you're at one with the world, quote unquote, when you're high, but trust me, the true sense of being at one comes from clarity, not from numbness. Meditate, practice semen retention, and you'll see weed is nothing but a roadblock to your best self, point blank. Now, how do you stop this nonsense, you ask? Now, how do you break a habit? Cold turkey, with a lot of God in your life. This is the only way. Anyone who's ever been to a 12-step meeting knows that more or less the first step is to realize that you are trapped, is to accept that you can only be helped by a higher power. Moderation is a lie. If you're smoking weed regularly and you've convinced yourself that you're not addicted, then prove it to me. Stop for 1 year. That's right, take an entire year off. You claim you're not addicted, right? So why not test it? The same goes for any substance, whether it's porn, TikTok, or any other form of self-medication. If you're truly in control, then taking a break should be no problem, no matter how long the break. But most people can't do it, and that's the harsh reality. When you stop, expect emotions to resurface. You're going to feel things you haven't felt in a long time, and at first, it may be overwhelming. But here's the key. Don't fight those emotions, embrace them. They're a part of who you are. They are there to guide you towards real healing. You've been numbing yourself for such a long time that the flood of raw emotions can seem like a lot, but you need to trust that it's all part of the process. Realize this: true happiness comes from real-life experiences, not artificial highs that leave you empty. The joy you're seeking through substances is fleeting, and it will never last. But discipline will rewire your brain. Over time, the fake stimulation will fade, and you'll start to feel a real joy. A joy that doesn't come from external sources, but from within. Stick with it, and you'll see that true fulfillment is more powerful than anything that those substances can offer. But when you finally stop numbing yourself, when you take that first step away from all these nonsense substances, you'll be hit strongly with something unexpected: real emotions. Everything becomes more intense, more alive. The numbness fades, and suddenly you're feeling things that you've been avoiding for years. The highs feel higher, but the lows hit deeper too. Crying out of nowhere, random bursts of happiness, waves of passion that overwhelm you. It's all a part of the process. You might even feel like you're suddenly walking through life with a new set of eyes. It can be overwhelming at first, but it's real. The hardest part of stopping is that you have to face yourself without the shield of your crutches. For me, NoFap was a true test. Quitting drugs was difficult, but quitting porn, that was something else entirely. Porn literally numbs you all the time. It creates a false sense of satisfaction, a hollow version of intimacy and pleasure. Once I stopped, I began to realize how deeply it had dulled my emotional range. It was almost like waking up from a dream where I had been sleepwalking through my entire life. On NoFap and while practicing semen retention, you will start to feel emotions you never even knew existed. They're raw, unfiltered, and real. But that's also when the true power kicks in. You begin to recognize what it means to be fully alive. The beauty of real happiness, the intensity of sorrow, the strength of genuine passion. These emotions aren't signs of weakness or a distraction anymore. They're signals from your body and your heart, guiding you towards growth. This is where the magic begins to happen. If you want to win in life, you need to feel fully alive. If you want to win in life, you need to feel fully, live fully, and be fully in the present moment. Stop drugging yourself, whether it's with substances like weed, alcohol, or even distractions like social media. True success comes when you embrace the highs and lows of real life without numbing yourself. Semen retention, discipline, and self-awareness will take you further in life than any substance ever could. So let go of the crutches and let yourself experience the world in its raw, unfiltered form.